Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola, good morning, privet. Hope you're well this morning. Wow, well, the markets are in turmoil this morning, aren't they? What we're seeing is the pound slump against other currencies, particularly the dollar, and then talk of interest rate rises to defend against that. Ring any bells for those that are older? You remember the exchange rate mechanism and when we ended up with real rates as high as 15% from some lenders, a shocking time. I don't suspect we'll be there anytime soon, but things are getting tougher and we can expect another interest rate rise when the Monetary Policy Committee next meet on the 3rd of November. There has been talk about earlier intervention, but it doesn't look like that's likely to happen. It's funny, isn't it? 1 minute we're talking about the giveaways from the new Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng and the good news about stamp duty, and the next minute we're talking about the awful news, rising rates. And some lenders are withdrawing fixed rates now. This is not financial advice, but if you are in a mortgage and you're trying to obtain a new one, or perhaps you're struggling with your mortgage, best advice I can give you is have dialogue with your lender and speak to an independent financial advisor, because sometimes you'll find that the rate you're paying is not the optimal rate. In other words, they can switch you onto a different rate, which might be more beneficial to you, or might at least lock you down for a period of time so you can be reassured as to what your payments are in the future. There is a thing called a redemption penalty, which means that if you're in a fixed rate and it's a higher fixed rate you need to get out of, then you will have to pay a penalty. You can discuss that with them as well. But quite often I find that people are on variable rates where they could be on lower fixes. And at the moment, lots of lenders are withdrawing their rates. So if you are thinking about getting a fix, then, well, we've been saying for a long time, I know, that you should be looking at it 6 months ago, really. But if you haven't done it yet, then well worth looking at it now. Particularly the people getting hammered are buy-to-let investors. And I know people say, oh, well, tenants are getting hammered even more. And there is a truth in that. But also, buy-to-let investors are finding that the rates are increasing on their mortgages and therefore having to reflect those through in increases in rent in order to just break even. So there is another side to the story of the ever-increasing rents, and that is, at the moment, it seems ever-increasing mortgage rates, unless you've been astute enough to lock one down for a longer period of time, in which case, good for you. As far as the market's concerned, so far, so good. It's proving very resilient. We've still got offers coming in hand over fist. People are still buying. There's a shortage of supply of property. That seems to continue to be the case. And as long as it is, then the markets will sustain. And even when it's not, with interest rates so high and yet rents are so high as well, there is a balance to this. So what I suspect will happen is we'll see a few buy-to-let investors cash in as rates come up and they think this is no longer viable. We'll also see some people sadly get repossessed, but the level of repossessions versus the market will be much, much lower than it's ever been in the past, in times such as the late 80s, early 90s, where we had a terrible recession and mass repossessions. And the reason for that is since 2007-9 and the crisis there, we have more equity in our homes. In other words, we already have a profit, inverted commas, that we've made between then and now. And because the mortgage lenders have been so much more cautious, we have put in deposits, which mean that there's a margin between us and the deep blue sea. And when there's a margin, we're likely to want to hold on to that property because we have cash in it, rather than let it get repossessed. And it gives you more options for refinancing where you have equity. If you have no equity and you're mortgaged up to the hilt, it's very hard to move away from your lender. If you have equity, there are always other alternatives, although the rates are being pulled fast, so you need to look now and quickly if you're thinking of changing. As far as the market's concerned, still fairly busy though, particularly busy on the rental side. We can't get enough stock. On the sales side, literally at the moment, everything in the 3-bedroom range seems to be going through the roof. So really pleased with how that's going as well. I have to say though, what we always want is stability. We don't necessarily want prices to go through the roof. We don't want to go through the floor either. We just want stability. And I think that at the moment, what people are worried about is exactly that fear of what do these rate rises mean? What does it mean that the pound's going through the floor? And it's a difficult time for everybody. So tough times ahead. We'll keep reporting to you on what it's like at the coalface here, where we're selling and renting properties daily. And at the moment, it's business as usual. As far as the weather's concerned, definitely a little bit colder. Excuse the noise. We've got some scaffolding. We just had a new roof put on. It's just coming. All the scaffolding is coming down today. But yeah, so we'll keep reporting to you and let you know how it is. But at the moment, still, there's a great shortage of property to rent, particularly in the 1, 2, and 3-bedroom range. And as far as the sale side is concerned, 3-bedroom housing is where it's at. There's not enough of it around. There are too many people chasing too few houses. should quieten down as we're getting towards Christmas and people start to worry about these rates. We will find that more and more people will decide to sort of sit, wait and see. And I know you're all dreading turning on that heating. Have you done it yet? We haven't yet, but wow, the socks are coming out. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks. We'll keep you advised here in terms of property. Hope you're doing well, and we'll be watching the markets and reporting to you daily as always. Take care, look after yourselves, and if you can, your family and friends. By the way, just released a new podcast to include the new stamp duty rates. Please do tune in. If you get a chance, just look up the podcast by looking up Ken Hughes Podcast on Spotify or your favorite provider. Take care. Ciao.